This podcast shines light on strong and talented women who excel and persevere in life while bathing in abundant self love. So, if you're ready to keep it real, level up in all your inner work, creative business, and community impact, then you've come to the right place because we provide you with content that helps your soul glow and your mind grow. Thank you for pressing play. Let's dive in.
Hey community, it has been a while and we are back again with another podcast episode. It feels so good to be back. Me and Tazine were just talking off camera about just how good it feels to be doing this yet again in a right way. And because it's just like an art form for us. It's a love for us. So we're happy to be here. And today we're going to talk about image versus reality, or image versus authenticity, because authentic reality is really what we push forward at STUK Designs. And so, yeah, we're excited to dive into this topic. And hey, Tazine.
Hi everyone. Oh my God, it's been so long since I've been on here. Goodness, this feels great. I feel so relieved to be here. It's like, giving some sort of like an energy back into my system because it's been a hot minute, honestly. But yeah, I've missed you guys. And I hope you guys are also looking forward to this because we've been planning a couple of things, and
For a
as and
minute.
when things go, some things roll off, some things come into action. So but I think this is one topic that we really felt that we should talk about, that we should explore, the differences between what can be called an image versus the truth, the reality that's actually, underneath it.
Yep.
Because I think I wouldn't say even just nowadays in the past few years, I feel like this is something that has been going on for a really long time. Like, it is so important for us to present ourselves in a certain way, in reality, and more so on social media. And it's easier to do that on social media because it's single faceted. You can just put up a post. A person can just post something and that's it, that's out there in the world. You don't really see the actual situation in which they're currently in, right? And a person whose life, quote unquote life, that we are inspired by, right? The reality is that they could be struggling with a lot of things. They could be struggling financially. They could be struggling with their
Okay.
mental health. They could be struggling, with a lot of things. Behind the persona that they've created online, there's an actual whole person, an individual. And as long as you're a person, as long as you're an individual, you're going to have a lot of different things going on in your life. It's not going to be just one thing, right? But yet, despite knowing all of this, and I'm sure this is something we all know, it's not new information, but we still tend to, compare ourselves to them. And that has happened to, like, the best of us. But not to take this the wrong way, right? Like, it's not that we shouldn't get inspired by people. It's it's obviously very good to be inspired by someone, to, if it's something that is pushing you in the right direction, if it is motivating you, if it's helping your mental well-being, then it's very welcome, right?
Yeah.
But it shouldn't consume us. It shouldn't take us to this point where we are questioning literally everything
Who
about
we
ourselves,
are,
where we're
identity.
not exactly not liking ourselves, and just not accepting ourselves, and being this other person. And obviously this is easier said than done, right?
Mhm.
We have all fallen trap into this at some point, and it has always been a difficult journey to, like, get out of that. I mean, how many people do I follow who I watch and I'm like, oh man, they look like they have the perfect life. I mean, even Brett, like, how many people do you follow and you're like, oh, that must be like a good person, but you meet them in real life once and
You
you're like,
never
wait, I
know.
think
You never know. You really don't. And I was thinking this, what you just said, it reminds me of this quote that I saw, that Erica Badu posted on her Twitter. Well, she said it, but she was like, "Be unapologetically you. You can admire your inspiration without trying to mimic their soul. Impress your inspiration. Don't impersonate them. If you happen to find yourself in their lane, acknowledge them. If not, that's breaking artist code." And I think that that's really real because, um, yeah, it's like, you can admire and you can like be inspired by people without like abusing comparison to the point of imposter syndrome and
Mm,
to the point of like, mental burnout because you have or have, like it's just I think that so much of social media promotes like this lifestyle that does not feel good on the inside, you know? And to me, I feel like my life has always been about, or like a philosophy to my life or whatever, has always been to create a life that feels as good on the inside as it does on the outside, you know? And I think that social media promotes this like way of life, which is like, well, A, it's just instant gratification and not real.
mm,
And then B, it's just like, yeah, people think that they like if they build just up images, like that is something. But if there's nothing, if there's no feeling behind the images, if there's no soul, if there's no humanity, like people can also feel that, So it's like we're at a very interesting crossroads in social media right now. I feel like with the rise of fascism and everything that's happening in America, but also just like all over the world. Um, I was listening to Umber Khan's Quietest Revolution, or I think the podcast is called Revolution Ramblings podcast. And she was talking about her latest. She said just that your phone is not your friend right now. And it's like, I think that's real because I think that Prince, I think it was, who said that like you have to use your phone, don't let it use you, like don't
mm,
let it run you. And I think like social media conditioning has become so heightened that people are at a point where they aren't even realizing that it's running their lives, that it's kind of created this social conditioning that they aren't and they aren't even fully conscious of the fact that it is happening and they are under that energy or that frequency because like every social media platform or whatever has a frequency and Instagram's frequency is very negative and it recently came out. I think it was like a week ago or whatever. There was like a breaking news that a large number, like hundreds of Instagram workers are actually confirmed, IDF soldiers. So it's, we're at a high key level of surveillance now. Like there is, you know, like that there is freedom of speech, I guess, but it's still surveilled. Like this is still surveilled. And I think that, with that, there comes a higher need to protect your energy, through all of this that's happening and to protect that which is real. And I often like go back and forth with like, I think that it's important to share and to show like real images, like images that show humanity, that show simplicity, that show beauty, that show faith, that show art, like things like that. But then it's like a fine line because, like, at what point am I oversharing or
mm,
sharing too much of my plans, sharing too much of my images, sharing too much of my, my philosophy, my rhetoric, and then having like people kind of take versus it being like a community system of giving and sharing and like pouring into collective consciousness. So we're at a very like interesting precipice in social media, and I think that a lot of people have different ways that they're navigating it and moving through it. But I think it's really important to remember that whatever way or method you're using right now to protect yourself from from social media addiction, from the brainwashing or the rhetoric or the it's kind of like it's just propaganda that it's kind of promoting. It's just like it's so important to have time to like unplug and to protect your energy and to ground and to just like get to a space of clarity. But so yeah, like no matter what you're going through or what how you're maneuvering, it's just important to remain authentic. And I think that's a hard thing because I don't know if most people even know what just being authentic is in a lot of cases. And that's just reflects on social media too. Um, but yeah, Tazine.
Yeah, definitely. For sure. Because the point that you said about, how much is like how much sharing is oversharing. What does it mean to be authentic? And, how can you be authentic? How can you protect your privacy at the same time? And you know, there are say for example there are certain people, certain vlogs that are showing sort of their day-to-day life, like of course there are the more aesthetic valued vlogs where they're showing like really pretty environments and scenarios are all set up, and of course it's beautiful, and yes, that is
Yeah.
inspiring very much. It really helps you, it calms you down, it's also entertaining, you're looking at something that's really pretty, it really creates like a very calm and like a soothing environment. Again, I think at the same time we have these certain blogs that show the reality of things, that they show the reality of what a house is like a lot of the houses, they're actually messy, they're not all white and aesthetic or things like that. So I think
Exactly.
what you need to understand is that all kind of content can be consumed, but
Yeah.
in different ways. What's more important at this time, at this crucial time, as you mentioned, is creating boundaries. When
Hmm.
you're watching something that is, whether it's like a vlog, like a home vlog or a travel vlog or whatever it is, like I said, don't let it consume you. Get inspired from it. Sure, you do that to take the good parts from it, motivate yourself. If you want to travel more, if you want to do this more, do that more, keep your things in a certain way, take from it, learn from it, try your best to do it, and be happy with that, but not at the cost of like everything should be the same as it is shown. And if I don't achieve that, like it is the end of it. Like I don't know what I'm doing, and then now I don't like this person because why are they so perfect? And why am I?
Hmm.
It's not that they're not perfect either.
Right.
They're doing a lot of hard work. They're putting a lot of hard work into those things, right? It doesn't come easy for anybody. And at the
Right.
same time, if you're gonna look at vlogs, and I see a lot of these realistic vlogs, and even for them, like people are still not satisfied. They're still posting like, "Oh, your house is so messy," or "What are you doing all day?" And I'm like, "Isn't
Sometimes
this the
they're the most
content?"
dissatisfied people.
Yeah, like isn't this what you asked for? Like take the good from that too. Take the good, that it is okay if your life is a little messy sometimes. Take that messaging. That is what they're trying to show. Like both the ends, they're trying to show something. They're trying to teach you certain things, and you take from it. You create your boundaries that this is where I will learn and this is where I will stop. It
Yeah.
depends on your situation because you know your situation better. You cannot just, like I said, don't let it consume you. If you let anything consume you, it's not just social media, whatever, even if you're watching movies, like if you let
Exactly.
that consume you, where's it going to go? So we cannot put an end to all of this. You cannot just
Yeah.
like stop social media, stop watching movies, or stop listening to songs. Like everything has a certain influence.
Yeah.
It depends on how much you take it. It's the choices that you're making
Right.
to, whatever, whichever path that you're going to go on. But I think,
Exactly.
you know, and since we're talking about like, comparison on like social media and all of these things. So for a second, even if we look at it through the lens of comparison, which shouldn't be the case, but let's just do it for the sake of it, right? The truth is, there's always going to be somebody who is doing better than you, who is more successful than you, who is smarter than you, who is prettier than you, who is maybe even happier than you. It's natural,
Yeah.
it happens, right?
Yeah.
At some point, you could be more successful than them, right?
Right.
It's just a course of life, and these things are going to continue. And who even knows if this is for sure? There's so many different aspects to life. A
Right.
person who's doing well at a certain aspect, not necessary that that person is going to do well in other things. If you're doing well in these other things, not necessarily you're going to do well in that. So I think it's just normal. And the sooner we accept it, the
Yeah.
better. Because, why? I'll tell you, because it doesn't matter. It does not matter. Your life is yours, their life is theirs.
Exactly.
They haven't lived a single day as you, and you haven't lived a single day as them, right? We see their success, on Instagram, right? We don't see what it took for them to get there. We don't know how they got there. We don't know what the sacrifices they made or the decisions they had to take to get there, right? We see someone who's probably always, happy, really chill, super happy, always smiling on Instagram. They could be clinically depressed. They could be going through some sort of an issue. Or even if they are actually happy in that moment, maybe it took them a whole journey to, pick up the pieces that were left by a storm.
Yeah,
And now they've gotten themselves to this place. So
that's
there's a
real.
lot of depth, and people forget when it comes to social media that it's you think it is built, maybe it's built in a way, or we have come to this understanding that it's just single faceted, right? Like what we are saying, it's what we're seeing is true, but you have to understand that behind all these accounts and behind whatever all this is, there are actual people there,
Yep.
right? And they're actual people, so they're going to have actual struggles and actual lives and actual stories of their own. So, like, you have yours. You could be posting something, I could be posting something on my Instagram, and people will be like, "Oh, look, she looks really happy," or like, "Oh, she went there, she's having a good time." But do you know what exactly was I doing that day? What was I thinking when I was posting that?
Yeah, do
You
you
don't
know
know,
somebody's mental state
right?
from a photo?
Not at all. Like, we're saying, okay, you're sitting at a studio right now, right? Like it all looks really pretty, but what's happening outside? Do
Yeah.
we know?
You
No,
don't know
we
what I
don't
went
know,
through today?
right?
You don't know what the struggles I went through today to get here, to
Exactly.
here?
Exactly, to sit there and to like record and to like put on like a good face and to like present yourself. We don't really know these things, and it's so whatever it is, I feel like just let people be, because even if they're doing well, like even if they're doing really really great, like whatever their image is and it's actually true, right? Even if they're doing great, does it harm you in any way? Is it harming you in any way? It's not creating any obstacles for us. We have our own paths, right? It's
Each
not
have our
gonna
own
your
journey.
life. Yeah, your light is your light. Mine is mine. Your light doesn't diminish mine. My light doesn't diminish yours.
And the light that is within me recognizes the light that is within you.
Exactly. So like use that, build better connections, build, and of course if something is really um say toxic for your mental well-being on social media, or you're really not able to get past it, okay, just don't look at that account anymore.
Take
Just
breaks.
unfollow it. Sometimes just do that. It takes, sometimes it really does happen. There's no solution to it. You can just unfollow this person then. Why do you have to struggle? You don't choose to struggle, because there's so many times you will not have a choice. You will have to struggle no matter what. So at least where you have a choice, take that choice and choose not to struggle in
Yep.
some way.
Exactly. And I think what you said reminded me, you were talking about, moderation and just like, not just just with anything in life. And I think there's this quote that's like, everything in moderation, even moderation. And I think that it's crazy because like there's some people who just have like no moderation when it comes to social media. And I think it's also I think it can be anybody, but I think predominantly it's younger generations because they were, raised with social media since they were babies. And so they don't even really understand or know what unplugging is, and I think that, yeah, taking time, taking little bits to unplug or to switch up how you are relating to social media or how you are relating to Instagram or how you are relating to Twitter is really important, just as is it switching up anything is. Like social media is actually, just kind of like a reflection of the energies of the real world. It's just, how it's presented is interesting sometimes. Because I think people get really attached to image. People get really attached to these images that they're presenting online, like whether it be your company or your art or just how you look, like if you're attractive or whatever. It's like people get tied to these as like their identity, and it's like, no matter what, it's like you are not your company. you are more than just your face. You are not, like this thing, this event that you just did. You are not like all of these, any external thing. Like when we really understand the truth of self-love and not from a narcissistic standpoint, like it's really truly loving that inner love within, like that light within. And when somebody has like a really beautiful social media account, I feel like that inner light shines through it, and you can see it because like they and you can feel it. You can feel it. But when I feel like somebody's coming from a more negative, like just surface standpoint and just doing image for the pure sake of image, you can also feel that because there's a complete lack of authenticity. And social media also doesn't really like authenticity. So it's like sometimes I feel like when you show up as your authentic self, yeah, you might not get as many likes or views or whatever you're anticipating. It might not turn out how you viewed it all. Like maybe you get one like or whatever. Maybe you get shadow banned and they hide the post or whatever it is. But it's like at least to me, there's like gratification and just a really good feeling in being authentic no matter what the result is, because at least I stood on that, and at least I stood in my authenticity, even if like I do a post and it gets like completely banned or shadowed and nobody can see it or whatever happens. Like at least I was true to myself, and there's like peace in that. um and I think it's also like navigating social media and navigating image versus reality or image versus authenticity is really about controlling your mind and controlling your mental. That's why I think that like both the modalities of spirituality that me and Tazeen practice are very important. I think Islam is very important for learning how to control your thoughts and control your mind, because like meditating 5 times, well, praying 5 times a day, like it really does that. I think it gives you a sense of inner peace, a sense of balance, when you're literally like talking to God 5 times a day. And then I think like in meditating multiple times a day, or in meditating every day, or whatever the practice you have is, like because I practice Buddhism, is also very, very important. And both those modalities, whether you're praying or meditating or just taking time in stillness and space, like that helps you to be able to control your mind, to get a handle on your thoughts, and to then detach from social media, and to once have you detach, then you can like approach it from a completely different standpoint, because then it's not leading and pulling you energetically anywhere. You are then running it, and you are then posting what feels good to your heart and your soul and your inner state, versus like posting what you think people want to see, or what you think will make you look cool or popular, or look like the most successful artist, or make you like top dog, or make you this or that, or make you that bitch, or that girl, or whatever. It really has
Right.
nothing to do with anything external. It's all in here, and it's all like emanates from really like real transformation is not external. It's like once real transformation happens, yes, you 1,000% do see it externally, and you do see it shine and glow, and people shine and glow externally when they've experienced transformation. But that's because they've done a ton of inner and behind the scenes and shadow work, and like you have no idea what people go through like behind just a beautiful image posted. So it's like there's no real point in judging or comparing or in anything like that. And I think that yeah, when we can really like ground and like find moments of stillness, we can snap ourselves back into like reality, which is realizing like, okay, wait, I'm here, I'm now, breathe, like I'm present in this moment. Like what else, what's really, nothing is really wrong in this moment, and all that is in this moment is like me and myself. And it's like I think you can find more power in social media by focusing on you and focusing on your journey, because like we said earlier, like everyone has their own individual, unique journey. You cannot hop on the timeline of someone else. Like you can on social, which is scary because like on social media, you can technically hop on the timeline of someone else. But in reality, you cannot hop on the timeline of someone else. And so many people are doing this, like trying to like live or follow or like, you know, the timeline or the life cycle or the life patterns or the daily schedules of others, not like, you know, understanding that like energetically and spiritually, like you can't do that because we each have our own unique callings, paths and roads to travel and follow. And if you get off track, weird things start to happen with the universe, you know, like things go wrong, crashes happen, things get messed up, things go wrong when you're not fully walking in authenticity. Because like the universe loves when, you know, or God or whatever you want to call it, loves when you are your authentic person, when you are the person that, you know, we are brought here to be, when you express your gifts, when you express your light, you know, when you are doing things like this with like sharing light with humanity, sharing light with the collective, giving service, you know. But like when you're just focused on and like obsessing on external images of just what you see, your perception, what you see of others, and judging that, it's like that doesn't get you to any higher level of, you know, of consciousness, of spirituality, of self-love, of whatever you want to call it, or whatever part of the journey you're on. um and then I was going to say that like kind of piggybacking on this topic of just like social media image or just image versus reality, it's like a lot of times once people get fixated on this person or that person and that person, and on this podcast we've talked many times about like stalker incidents and this and that, but it's just like once people get like fixated, they don't realize that often they create like evil eye energy on who they are looking at. And it's like some people, I think they do this intentionally and they do have malicious energy and they do like look and watch to, you know, create blockages in other people and in the paths of other people. But, you know, some do it just unintentionally just because they're like obsessively comparing themselves to someone and scrolling and comparing. And in Islam, the evil eye is called nazar. Am I pronouncing it right, Tazine?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tazine we talk a lot about like evil eye, the nazar, and I was gonna ask her to share like an example of like she went to a wedding and there was like a, you know, example of nazar or evil eye on a baby. But I think we've all had aspects of feeling like evil eye energy or like hater energy or like jealous energy on us. And I think that yeah, social media is a place where it happens a lot. It happens a
It
whole lot.
happens because you're just putting on like your good parts, right? And that it becomes like, now whether you want it or not, obviously nobody wants to be someone who's targeted. But it
Exactly.
does happen. I mean, if you look at someone for long enough and you're trying to like compare yourself to them, there is going to be envy at some point or another. And that's envy is the cause of all of that. You know, envy is where it all starts to happen. And whether you're intentional with it, whether you're not intentional with it, you are thinking of this person in a certain way. And I have seen some people are actually like very outright, you know, they're very straight with it, and they're like, oh, well, oh, this person's doing that. Well, I wish this happens. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
you know,
I
that's
think a girl in
you're not
college.
even hiding. Yeah.
Yeah, a girl in college like wished she was like, I wish like cancer on me or something like crazy like that before. And it was so I was so young and I didn't really understand like the evil eye or whatever energy like that then. But I understood its power then.
It's malicious
And I was
intent.
just
Like, oh
like,
my
oh,
God. To
seriously?
be
Like,
even to be able to like, what kind of headspace are you in to be able to want something so
exactly.
bad, to have something so malicious in your heart for
And it was
somebody
from
else?
like stupid college Facebook photos that were posted. And then she got jealous because it was like me and my best friend were like hanging out with some boy that she liked. And it was some stupid thing about like she she was like, "Yeah, I hope she gets cancer and dies," and
Oh,
blah, and she was just like a hateful girl. But like this is an example. That's like an evil. She had the most evil eye energy on me all of college. Like she just hated me for
oh
no
my God. And sometimes
reason.
yeah, and sometimes you actually do end up like feeling a little sick.
Yeah,
Like when you
because
know
it makes
that's
you
yeah,
sick.
someone has been like
People
staring at
feel
you for too
gross
long.
energy
Y-
on
exactly. It
you.
actually physically does make you sick.
Yes. And especially because like I said, we each have our own path. We each have our own specific energy field that we were blessed with. We each have our own auras, and it's like when somebody who is not you has like a sick toxic energy, like on you, or like is looking at you or whatever. Yeah, you can feel that. You can definitely feel that. The more
For
energetically
sure.
active you are, I think the more you can feel it. Which is why I wanted you to share the example of the baby, because I
Yeah,
feel like some people
because
are more or less.
that's like yeah, and I think I think honestly, I don't really know how it works there, but like especially like Indian weddings, they're like over the top. Like they're
I
like
love that.
fancy. Like
Henna.
everyone's yeah, everyone's just out there. It's like it's a whole thing. So like it often happens like you often see like either obviously there are many reasons for it. It's a child, it's a baby, you can get overstimulated because of the environment. It's noisy, it's loud, sometimes it can get hot or cold or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of different people that come at a gathering if it's not just like a wedding at a gathering, right? So even when in real life you look at other people and you tend to start comparing, oh, this person is doing well at their job, or oh, this person has a baby now, or this person is doing this and that, and maybe that person also has all of those things, right? But still it's almost like some people tend to like want more for themselves, even though they have a lot. But even if the other person has like the same things, it doesn't sit right with them. And sometimes it's out of intention, sometimes it's really not intentional. But yeah, it often happens. Like the baby started like crying like really bad, and it was like, is the baby hungry or like it's like not exactly like an infant, but yeah, I think I would say a couple months old or like almost a year. I don't know, baby, I would say, regardless. But yeah, started crying and everything, was not hungry, was not anything. It was after the event and just started feeling really sick. Um, but that's when it kind of um, hit because in our culture, especially, we think babies, kids, children, they're more prone to all these things. So the moment something goes wrong this way, the immediate reaction is to like prayers and reading du'as and all of those things, and it really did help, and that happened, and the baby calmed down, which was amazing because that just goes to show that yes, there's all of this. There's negativity. Yes, there's malicious intent out there, whether, and sometimes Nazar, it can be voluntary, it can be involuntary. We don't really know. Like, we can't say what it is for sure. Like, we're just humans, right?
And you
But
said someone
there are
blew on
ways
a
to
baby?
protect ourselves.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. It was like with like the prayers and everything. So it's
Yeah.
like you just read a few things and then you pray, and then they like after prayer they like blew on the baby's like head and just to calm the baby down and everything. And yeah, that actually worked because it was like with prayer and everything. So it just goes to show that even though these things are there, there are definitely ways to protect yourself from it. And that is, and how we're relating this, like if people are wondering why we're talking about Nazar all of a sudden, because that is very much related to the image that you are presenting yourself, of yourself on like social media or in real life or whatever it is. Because obviously we all want to be the best version of ourselves, right? But with that, I think we also have to be conscious of the people that we're surrounding ourselves with, who are around us. Do they have our well-being in their hearts? Are they like, are they on our side? Like what's your circle like? Because I think that's one of the most important things. Having a circle that you can trust, because then it's like whatever image you portray out there, what even if that is the truth, like you're putting your true self out there, you're not um exposed to as much malice or
Right.
as much negativity, which of course can be a little difficult given the structure of social media. I mean, you can't really put like a ban on all these things, but how many people are you gonna block, honestly? I mean, and you never know what someone's
I know.
thinking.
Well, don't ask me that.
But yeah,
I
but
block a lot.
yeah, we that's a whole another podcast episode,
Yeah.
I think. That could be a whole other thing.
Wait,
Yeah.
are there any verses that you would recommend, or like, do you know what it was that the verse that she kind of like said,
I think a
maybe?
lot of like there are many specific ones, but what a lot of people um tend to read is Surah Nas. So Surah Nas, Surah Ikhlas, and Surah Falak. So these are three really powerful ones, like they're most commonly read. And even if you're feeling like anxious and um just too overwhelmed, that also tends to help. Sometimes it can be nazar, sometimes it can just be your own mental state. There are a lot of things, that's the thing about being human. Like you know only maybe like 5 to 10% of what's actually going on. Like we don't
Yeah.
know the rest. Like we're just so just do the best with what you have, like with your life. And
Yeah.
I think there's another thing that I
Go ahead.
what yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say we can just tag the or we'll put the surahs below, like when
Yeah, for
below the
sure,
pod.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but yeah, there was this other thing that I wanted to talk about. Like, yeah, when we're talking about like images specifically, right? Of course, there's a social media part of it. There's like, it's a big part of it, right? But there are other things to look into it as well. And the most important thing, which I think you spoke about a lot, was, being secure with yourself and, with your own like sense of identity and all those things. Because here's the thing, right? The image that we have of ourselves, right? And the truth that is standing tall. These can be sometimes two very different things,
Mm,
right? The image that we have for like what we are, what we were, what we want to do, what we want to be, right? Because what happens is, as and when life takes its course, we often lose sight of who we are, and it could be that the confidence we once had is now not the same. Our sense of self, our sense of identity, it takes a beating because there's so many things that goes on in life. It's hard to, you know, grab a hold of yourself sometimes.
mhm.
And because of that, we think that I'm not what I used to be. The skills I once had, I don't anymore. I'm not as capable anymore. I cannot do anything right anymore. The list goes on because there's a lot of negative things that we can say about ourselves, like that's
Mhm.
infinite, right? But is it all true? No,
Right.
because the truth is your confidence is lacking. That's the truth. Your confidence is lacking, your self-esteem, but not your ability. Your abilities are still
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
right? They
Yeah.
have always
Always.
been there.
They're innate.
They will always be there.
Mhm.
Yes, they will always be there. But we push it away because we see ourselves differently. The image that we have created for ourselves does not really allow our capabilities to shine in that picture.
Yep.
And sometimes it takes another perspective, right? Like for instance, maybe you've done something, like you've made a painting or you've written something or you've done some piece of work or cooked or whatever it is, right? And a third person comes along and says, oh, you're pretty good at this. This is quite impressive. And you're like, really? You're thinking, really? Me? Like me? Really? Are you sure? I'm not sure. Like, but it could be true.
Yeah.
This person, this third person, whether it's like your family or your friend or your stranger,
Yeah.
whatever, they don't know that they're not aware of the internal turmoil that is going on, right? Inside you. They're just seeing facts. And based on the facts, they're saying, yeah, this looks good. This looks great, right?
It's a picture of
But
fact.
yeah, and or suppose in some situation where there is nobody else, right?
Mhm.
But you just look at something, and for a second, your mind goes, "Oh wait, that's actually not that bad," right?
Mhm.
And that second is where your true self is like putting its head above water and being like begging to be recognized, being like, "I'm still here, I'm here,"
Mhm.
right? But what happens is the fog takes over once again, and we're like, well, I mean, it's nice, but like, oh, well, it's not all that great. I mean, it could be better. There's like this thing wrong in that and this thing wrong in this. And it's it's
You
it's
gotta train
just
your
I
mind
used
to
to be
spot
so
that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was better at this. But that's the thing, right? The image that we have built for ourselves, the image that we have created for ourselves, how we perceive ourselves is so different
Yep.
from what the truth actually is. And we fail to see the truth. Sometimes it can take a whole village to tell you that that's not true and that you are capable and you can do this and you can do this. But it doesn't matter to you because as long as you're not in that space or not ready to accept the truth yet, it's not going to matter how many voices are screaming at you. Because that's the thing, like you said, the truth has to come from within you. Your truth has to come from inside you. And as long as it doesn't come from inside, no matter what happens on the outside, of course it can help. A support system helps. A great support system helps. When you have that repetition again and again, where people are telling you, yeah, you can do it. Yeah, you're good at this. At some point, you will start to wonder, you know what, maybe so many people are telling me maybe they're not all wrong. One person could be wrong. But like in all these different instances, and even my personal like instinct, it's telling me. So maybe it's not all wrong, you know, maybe I just really need to push past this fog, push past this image and be able to see the reality. Because, you know, once we move past that fog, we can
Yeah,
do so much.
the
You know,
brain
the
fog.
bottom line is, you know, can't we see that we are our biggest enemy? There's nobody else. It's always us. It's always has been.
That's for
Whether it is people, yeah, if you talk about people who are, you know, posting, whether you're seeing people's posts on social media, you're watching movies, you're watching like blogs, you're doing all these things. At the end of the day, who is giving into it? Who is believing all these lies sometimes? It's you. So at some point, we have to hold ourselves accountable for it. How long are we gonna, you know, put the blame on others? Everyone's trying their best. For some people, it's their means of like it's their way of earning. Like if they're
Yep.
making vlogs and everything, that's how they're getting paid, and they're putting hard work into it. So see that too. If you're
Yep.
seeing the good part of like their social media, of seeing it's a beautiful, you know, profile, it's like a beautiful vlog or whatever. Acknowledge that,
Yep.
appreciate it, but also see that yes, so much hard work went into it. You know,
Yeah.
there was a hard work. It did not just happen. The person was just not like chilling on their couch and like snap of a finger and it just happened. No, if you're really, you know, willing to acknowledge that it's beautiful, also acknowledge the hard work
Yeah.
and like the ugliness of the hard work that came with
Planning,
it.
the structure of it, the coordinating to get together, the showing up of it, you know? Like these things are not easy, especially in this society that we are currently in. Showing up is not easy. And it's just crazy because like I feel like we make it look so easy. We make it look so beautiful. We make it look so good.
Mm.
Artists in general do this. But like yeah, you don't know how hard like, people don't know how hard it is out here right now. Like and, like, we're literally like well, in America, we're literally living like it's a fascist country right now, so it's like things are day by day getting more locked in and, like, freedoms are being taken away and more surveillance is happening, and I think that, like, with, more just, like, surveillance, there is a need to touch in and tap in with yourself more. Like you have to do it. Otherwise, it's like you're going to get lost in that sea of like, everything that we've been talking about, like that happens on social media. And it's just like um so privacy is a function of liberty. That's a quote from Ai Weiwei, who is a Chinese installation artist, and it was at one of his installations that I went to on Alcatraz Island, which was beautiful. It was like this installation in a prison cell, and it was like a kite, and it was like a kite dragon, and on it it said, "Privacy is a function of liberty." And so, like, no matter where you are, no matter what external situation was, and this is what the point he was making with that installation, like, even if you are in the harshest prison in the world, through your mind, you can still find freedom. And through your mind, you can still, like, hold things internally private to you, and in through that, there is liberty. So I think that questioning that and
That's really beautiful.
thank you. Questioning that
That's
and
really beautiful.
understanding that is like really important in navigating social media right now, because you have to question, well, what is really private to my own soul, and what do I need to hold private in my own soul, and then what do I need to share? Because like at the end of the day, it's like there's also a quote from in the book Into the Wild, which is like, sharing, what is it? You can't like share basically. Oh, happiness isn't real unless shared, is what it says. Happiness isn't real unless shared. And it's like, I think that's so true to a degree, because it's like you have to hold a certain degree of happiness and bliss privately within your heart when you feel it. But yes, it's like we also have the right to like express joy and happiness we feel to others and to community. But it's like right now within this extra like surveillance setting we're in, it's like you have to question like, well, what is worth sharing? What won't pour too much out of my cup to share and to give to the collective, and then what can I keep here in my own heart so that I feel good internally, so that my soul feels good, so that I feel at peace even when I'm presenting things online. And I think that that balance is really like key for fascist times. It's like, because it's like they don't want you to speak out. They want you to just be kind of like so shut down that you're afraid to speak your truth, or afraid to share your art, or afraid to do this or that. And it's like you have to have enough self-love to share while not giving them all of your energy and all of your intellectual property, because like all of the Instagram games and blah blah blah, it's so easy to get wrapped up in that. Which is why you have to hone in and be your own center. You have to be your own guiding point. And like we're in the era and the age of like kind of like a be your own guru. And like in the past, it was always like looking to all of these leaders and spiritual teachers and other people to like tell you how to get to point A to B or whatever it is. And in the new age we're in astrology, it's the age of Aquarius. It's much more of like you have to rise to the occasion, and understanding that when you own and walk in your own authenticity, that also gives you a heavy level of spiritual protection. And when you are in your own authenticity, you can really be your own guru, because then you can clearly hear your own internal state. Then you can clearly hear your intuition and your own voice and God and your angels and your spiritual team or whatever it is. And it's just like when you have that, it's like social media can't pull you and sway you and make you do this and get you wrapped up in liking this and who's saying this and who's saying what and blah blah blah. I often have to remind myself, like when I'm doing projects or when I need to get things done on social media business wise, because I'm doing business and a lot of people are lurking while I'm working. And so in a lot of the cases, I just have to be like, well, it's just me and God. It's just me and God working. Like, there is no one else here. It's just me and God. And it's like I'm a mirror to myself, I'm a mirror to God. And just like you have to keep reminding yourself of that, so that the chatter and the nonsense that people spew and the gossip and the lies or the hate or the whatever subside, and so the evil energy subsides. And it's just like you just have to remind yourself of that self-love at your center and at your core. And I think that when you can really focus on you, Catherine Zenkina in her Manifestation Babe podcast in the early days, because I don't really like it now, but in the early days, she was really adamant about like only looking at your own social media. She was like, that's how I did what I've done to get where I've gotten. Like, I just focus on me. I just
Mm.
focus on my own shit. I just get my own shit done. And as soon as I started shifting my life and utilizing that modality, like so much changed for me, because it's like I could give more energy to myself then. I could give more energy to my own focus. And granted, like I'm not saying like I literally only look at me. Like I do, like I'm not like, that locked in, but I do
Yeah.
now I think, but at a point to lock in that practice, I did do that at one point. Like at one
Yeah.
point, I made a point to just I was like, I need to only look at me. I need to just only post for me. Like I need to just focus. And so now that I did that, it's like easy for me to kind of just like I tap in with like my friends, my team, like with Tazine, with Madeline, and I check theirs and my art friends and stuff like that. And I go on when I need to like post for business, but like I keep it very clean, like very not messy, like, and because it's
Mm.
so easy to get messy and crazy on social media these days, and with a whole layer of fascism in society, it's like you don't need that. You don't need that within your mind. It's like the clearest mind is like the winner in this society right now. It's like because you can only really create, from a very clear and still mind. And it's just like so many people don't have that right now that it's just like the only way to really get through and to like to win, I feel like, is to create that in yourself for your life. And yoga is also a great way to help with like clearing and stilling your mind. Um, it helps clear and still your mind even before meditation, which I love. And I think that when we do these things, when we do like a morning practice or a morning routine, especially before we get on social media, it reminds of what our authentic truth is. It reminds us who and what we are before we get caught up and wrapped up in the world. Like, I think it's important to, like, be in the world, but not be of the world. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And I think we need to remember that in every interaction we have humanity for, the people that we are interacting with, especially like within community, because community is really the only way, we're going to get through all of this fascism and all of this, new world order gross stuff that society is kind of pouring down on us.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because I feel like that's a very valid point. And I think the one thing that we need to do is whether it is about social media, the things we see on there, or like the people we interact with in real life, um, any challenges that come our way through whatever means it is. The thing is, if we are secure with ourselves, like you've mentioned, loving yourself and, really being grounded. And if you're that secure with yourself, it's almost like you can visualize a tree that has its roots firmly into the ground. And that is you being secure. So no matter how heavy the winds are, no matter what the season is, if it's pouring, if there's a storm, whatever happens, the tree sways for sure. Yes, the branches sway. Sometimes branches break. A lot of these things happen, and that's all part of it, right? But the root remains strong, like the tree remains rooted to the ground. And that is what happens with us when we are so secure, right? That security, right? That being that secure is our like root. That's our root. That's
Yes.
how we stay rooted to ourselves. And no matter what happens, even if we do fall a little bit, if we do stumble across the way, we get swayed and yeah, you get influenced, at the end of the day, we come back because we're so rooted deep within ourselves, right? There's nothing that can shake us. And
Real quickly before you keep going, there's this quote that totally matches what you just said because she was talking about roots and trees, but it's like the seasons differ above and below ground. Underground, spring starts around October. Even during the chilly winter, above ground, bulbs are sprouting below ground. So tell yourself when things get tough, spring is about to begin within me. And
that, yes, I've read that. That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful.
it's from I'm obsessed with like Korean K dramas, Korean dramas.
Mm.
And it's
Mm.
from one called My Demon, but it's really good. But I love that
Yes,
quote and I
yes,
love
I've
everything you
watched
said.
that.
Continue.
Yes, it's beautiful. It's beautiful because there's so much truth in that. And yes, of course, that can be a little bit intimidating as well because I mean, if you see someone that is so like secure and they're not like shaken by anything, like people are passing comments on them, remarks and but they're just there. They're just confident. They're like owning their energy. They're just like up there. They're not afraid to take up space, that this is their space. They're going to take up whatever is needed. And they're not hiding parts of themselves. They're not shrinking. They're not creating any sort of an image that is not true just to please the other people. It's because they're so safe and they're so secure. And I think those are the kind of people that we need to aspire to be
And to
because
have around us.
once you yeah, and to have around us, to surround us with, because then when you're like that, when you're unshakable in that way, no matter what you see on social media, no matter what people tell you in real life, it's not gonna it's not gonna uproot your entire sense of identity. You're probably gonna feel bad a few days. You're probably gonna cry sometimes, and that's all okay. That's part of the
Breakdowns
human
happen.
experience. It happens. Like we need to get that thing like straight. Crying and feeling bad, it's part of the human experiences.
And breakdowns lead to breakthroughs.
Yes, breakdowns lead to breakthroughs. If we were not meant to experience sadness and fear and despair and tears, right? These things would never have been made, but they're created. And so are we. And so we're meant to express it and we're meant to feel it. And so we feel it. So I think all that is fine as long as you're able to pick yourself up and get back on track and see what the truth is. It can take a lot of time. It can take struggle. It's easy to compare yourself to other people, especially when you feel like you're lacking. You feel like you're behind, the world is running, the world is moving forward. But that's what we see.
Yeah.
That's the image that is being portrayed.
Yeah.
Who knows if that is true? Who
Yeah.
knows if the person that I feel is going forward and is running and so far ahead of me? What if I'm just feeling that that person is there? It's the image, but in reality, the person is like right beside me, right? But I'm not able to
Yeah.
see that because I'm seeing something else.
Example of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because when I was in
Yes, yes,
college,
please.
um, I was, I was a college like party girl or whatever, right? And it was like the era of Facebook, the college era of Facebook. And so I had my like little digital point and shoot camera. And so like, I thought it was that girl in college and all this stuff.
Oh.
And so I would go but I've always just loved photography. So I would take pictures of like all of the events and everything like that. And I had this like clique of girls, pretty girls that I hung out with, and we all went to the parties together and whatever. So there was like a particular image of me, right? Like I had this like image to maintain, like this pretty,
Yeah, the pretty
pretty
and
party
the party girl and
girl,
happy
like
girl and
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. But in college, I did not feel that way at all. I was not like that. Like I was going through so much bullshit. Like I had this crazy relationship with this Capricorn guy, like almost all 4 years and a bit after. And and it was off and on, and it was a complete roller coaster because it was like my first like love situation and everything. So I had crazy moments of just like so much depression. And like there were moments in college, well, because I did so much art in high school, like legitimately, I burnt myself out. So in college, really, I couldn't create anywhere. Like I couldn't draw really like that I usually do. And I was also not accepted into the department that I wanted to be accepted into because I painted all Black people and the college was racist. So they didn't let me in the art, like fine art, like painting department. So I had to go into like graphic design. So I was doing that, like graphic design stuff, right? But I was totally burnt out, like sketching, like doing, life drawing stuff. Like I was so burnt out because I had already done that in high school too. And then I just wasn't painting because I wasn't let into that department. So I wasn't in any painting classes or anything like that. So I was not in a good mood. So I was just like, I guess I just be social, and I guess, so then I just kind of like became a socialite, and I just started partying and stuff. And I mean, I do have like I was writing a lot too, so like I did express, my other modalities, but like things were not perfect for me, and I just had to kind of work it out anyway, and it's just like and my health was not good then either, because I was so like sad with that and up and down because of that relationship. I had like serious health issues, and I um like I had this incident or the syndrome called Bell's palsy, and like half of my face went numb. I couldn't move half of my face because due to stress, and like it started in my ear, and then the nerves in my face, and then it's like went numb. And
Oh,
so I
wow.
had to work through all of that and learn that like relationship things can cause stress in the body, and all this crazy stuff. And I'm going through all this crazy stuff, right? But on my online, my pictures are just like, I'm having the best time. I look so
And people had no idea. People had
no,
no
I'm
idea.
having an
Yeah.
outfit for every party, and like yeah. So like, so you just
Yeah.
really never know. And then I always think back to that time, and I'm like, I think about how it felt, right? How it felt to post those pictures of me being all blah, 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 living this kind of like image based life, and not feeling that way on the inside. It felt gross. It did not feel good, but it felt like I had to do it to keep up this image. And like, so and it was like I was on like a conveyor belt to like keep up an image, and to keep up a fake, well, it wasn't a fake lifestyle per se, but I didn't feel as good on the inside, as I was necessarily portraying on the outside.
It was something that you were probably using to like cope with a lot of the things and, to be able to get through that time because maybe if you didn't do that, it would have been even more difficult for you to get through that phase in your life.
Exactly. So then after college, I did like a full detox. I deleted my Facebook. I was offline for like a year, like, and I kind of got my life together as an artist, and as a professional artist. And in that transition, it was just so much more healthy because I was like not afraid to express like, and then I was just like, I took free reign, and I was like, let me just have a time when I don't feel happy right now, I feel sad right now, so I'm gonna wear all black, and I'm gonna be goth, and I'm gonna like dye my hair black, and I'm gonna wear fishnets, and I'm gonna like paint all black and white, and I'm gonna have like black and white art shows. And so I did that, and I embraced my sadness, and then my image shifted online because it was more authentic. And no, I wasn't like the happy, party girl that I was back then, but I was also more authentic because I was different, I was different, I was real. And then it's like when I transitioned out of that kind of like, woe is me, I'm gonna be Daria, dark, dark phase. I then was like, okay, I feel more healed, I feel more happy, and now I start painting in color, and now I, use more light, and now, I use the stories and things and struggles that I've been through in my own like issues with anxiety, and friends and this and that, to help others, to help uplift others. And because I'm in a much happier place and space, I'm creating more images that reflect that. But it's just like, and it feels good, and everything that I look at that I have posted online, it feels good to me because I'm like, yeah, that's how I really feel like inside. It's like it's a true reflection of me. And it's just like I had to delete all that stuff in from college because it just didn't feel like me. And that's also fine because I was figuring out who me was. Like, and that was my
Exactly.
goal. So
Yeah, that was a very important phase because I don't think that anything that happens without a reason. Every single step that we've taken, every single misstep, every single mistake or whatever it was, is the reason that we're here right now and we're living this life. If maybe even if one of those things wouldn't have happened, things would have gone differently. And
exactly.
maybe this would not have been the case right now. So everything like happens for a reason. And this just goes to show that the people that we are looking up to, right, whose lives are seemingly like perfect or like seemingly happy or whatever, it's not that they're doing it on purpose to create, this jealousy, to make the people around them jealous or something. It's like they're probably that's their way of coping.
Yeah.
That's just how they're gonna deal with things. That's
Yeah.
just how they're gonna get through things, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's them, it's their way of coping. And if that helps them survive and that helps them get through, then why not? Okay, one day they'll look back at it like you do, and you're like, yeah, it felt different from what I was, but you know that it was important at that phase in your
Yep.
life, at that step in your life. You needed to do that.
Yep.
I think that is so important because we just for a lot of times it's like, and sometimes it happens like unknowingly. Like I've had some people tell me, "Oh, you're very impressive. Like you're very impressive. You look very confident," or like, just through indirect conversations, they've felt that I
Mhm.
am like a very confident person, or like I'm very secure, and that I know what I'm doing, right? And when they say things like that to my face, I'm thinking, is that really the vibe that I'm giving off? Like,
Yeah.
is that really how people are seeing me? Because that's not exactly what I'm feeling like on the inside most of the times. A lot of the times, like any human being,
Yeah.
I'm also scared, right? I'm also stressed about the things. I'm also like thinking, am I doing this right? Am I not doing
Mhm.
this right? Like what's going on? But like the outcome turns out, good, and if the outcome turns out good, I'm like, oh, probably just happen out of like, out of sheer luck, or like whatever. But people saying, oh yeah, you've got the talent for it, you've done it, and it's so hard to accept that I have the potential for it, or that I have the capability for it,
Yeah.
because I don't see myself like that, but people do. And there's so many times in your life where it does happen. You go up, you go down. Sometimes you are confident, sometimes you're not. But in those moments, even when you're not feeling confidence, sometimes it does give off that image that people are seeing you in a different light than you're seeing
Yeah.
yourselves. And you're not doing that on
A
purpose. Like I'm not,
magnetism.
I know, yeah, I didn't do that on purpose to make myself feel good or make somebody else feel bad. No, even if probably maybe there were people who thought that way. But yeah, it was not done that. It's a lot of it is involuntary. That's the thing. Like we're
Yeah.
all here. We're all just figuring out things as we go. Sometimes it can
Preach it
come off
out.
as yeah, sometimes it can come off as like too much, sometimes
Yep.
it can come off as too little, or all of that. But as long as we're true and we're trying our best
Yep.
to do what it is that is needed to be done to for ourselves, for our goals, and to be better human beings.
Yep.
I think that is so important. As long as we're trying our best, and then I think that's the end of it. That's the most of it,
Yeah. You
because
you always
people
say,
are always going to see.
try your best, and then God does the rest.
Yes, exactly. That's the thing you need to do. Like we have this um story, this saying that you gotta like you trust, you put your faith in Allah, but you also like at the same time tie up your camel outside your tent instead of just letting it free. So that it runs away. So people are like, oh well, if you have so much faith, then why don't you just leave it? It's like, no, you do your best. You tie up that camel, and then leave the rest because you've done your best at that
Amen.
time. Then after that, you're gonna leave it. And then whatever's gonna happen, that's your faith. You're gonna see what's gonna happen. Whatever happens always happens for the best. So I think we just gotta do whatever we can in our power, and whether it is social media image, or what is it, whether it is like a persona that someone is putting up, either you look past it or you take from it whatever you can take. You accept that person if you can accept that person. If some way, in some form, it becomes toxic for you and it becomes toxic for the person, then walk away.
Exactly.
There's no need to make things difficult for
Yeah.
you and
And
for
there's
the
no need for
person
drama
themselves, right?
or nastiness.
There's no need for it. Exactly. If only people understood that.
It's
Goodness.
it's because people don't like, and because we're in an era of social media where people don't take breaks, people also don't understand that detachment is a part of life and a part of the spiritual journey and a part of who we all are, and evolve into. And it's like, if you have no detachment ability to detach from people, like you're always going to be on, like I said earlier, on someone else's timeline where you're not supposed to be.
latching on from one person to another, and this person like doesn't work out, so now you're like, wait, what do I do now? Like I have no sense of self, like I have no
Your own
originality.
center.
Yeah, exactly. Now what do I do? So now I got to look at somebody else and latch onto that person and see what they're doing and try to replicate that. But like, where is your originality in all of this? If you're just going to latch onto the different images that people are putting out there, then you know make one of yours.
Exactly.
Make your own image. Make a
Exactly.
true one.
Rebrand, make something new.
Yeah,
Like, do just
make something new.
like life is there's so like life is ever abundant. There's so many different things you can do. You can dye your hair pink, you can move across the country, you can do whatever you want to do, you can
Yeah,
show up however you want to show up. But it's just like when you're sucking on others versus honing into your own originality, then you don't have any juice to flow. And then it's like
exactly.
you can't move that way. And a lot of people are
Hmm.
stagnant due to that reason. Like the endless scrolling also is like taking energy from you. So it's yeah, breaks are really, really important to just like honing into the truth of who you are, which is who you are in your very stillest moment, when no one is around. And I
Yeah.
think that we find true power and we call our power back to us when we can, be in that kind of space.
Yeah, exactly. And once you're accepting yourself, then you can always like learn ways to better yourself. It's a form of self-love too,
Yes.
finding ways to become better in any craft or become better like as a person, whatever it is that you do, you can take inspiration from people for that. There's no harm in that as long as you're, using it for a good purpose. There's no point. Like if, there are arguments that are like, oh, well, if you're talking about self-love, you're talking about loving yourself, then why are you changing this part about yourself? Why are you changing that part? It's not that. It's about improving yourself,
Yeah.
constantly evolving, constantly improving. That is a big part of self-love. If you see something about yourself that is like, okay, this is not right, maybe the thing that I did is not right or the way I spoke is not right, acknowledging that and then being like, okay, I should not do this, I should do better. That is also a form of self-love, and that is also a form of being true to yourself. Like it doesn't mean that I'm just going to stay the way I am, even if I'm wrong. That's not it. Right.
That
You
ain't
got
it.
to move. You got to change. That ain't it.
It's being the highest version of yourself and trying to
Yeah,
be the highest version of
exactly.
yourself every day. No days off, even if that day is rest.
Exactly. Even if that's rest is productive, rest is still productive, honestly. And the thing is, right, just be you. And if you are your true authentic self, you're just being you, you will find people that actually want to be with that version of you, that actually want to be with you exactly, not what you are trying to like portray out of a certain necessity or whatever. Like just you. They're gonna like you for that. Those people are gonna be authentic. Those are gonna be your people.
Yep. Your vibe is going to attract your tribe for sure.
Yeah, for sure,
Um,
for sure.
and I was one thing, one closing out, I was gonna say you were talking about just rooting yourself and grounding yourself and like a tree. And I made in the women's show, we have Stuck Designs is in a women's exhibit right now at Oak Stop Gallery and co-working space and event space in Oakland, California. So you should come see it. But in the space, I made an installation of a tree and I called it an affirmation tree. And I had everyone write on a leaf like affirmations, and then like I have wires, so they just like hang it on one of the branches. And it's been really popular, and like it's such a representation of like a physical representation of everything that you were speaking of. So I think it's just so interesting. We're always so
That is so cute.
Yes. And we're so aligned. If you guys are watching this on video, we have the same shirt on today and we didn't even plan it.
Can you believe that? We did not talk about it. We did not coordinate this. We just pulled these out of our wardrobes. We just wore it. We logged on. We're like, hey, we're twinning. So yeah, see, that's the level of like alignment. That's how coordinated we are.
That's what happens when spiritual alignment takes place. Yes, it does.
Yes, exactly.
So closing out, I've been ending it with some affirmations for the people. So maybe I'll say some, and then do you want to give some affirmations to close out, Christine?
Sure. I mean, I'm not prepared any affirmations, but yeah, I mean, yeah,
Usually when
let's
I'm
go.
making when I'm shooting out, so I don't prepare them either. I just make them up.
Yeah.
So okay, like
Yeah,
into
yeah.
so let's see. You
Mm.
are magical. You are deeply enough. You have such a grounded self image that no social media weirdness can ever shake it. You have a clear mind and no brain fog. You can focus on art and finish beautiful paintings or books or just masterpieces in general. You have a vibrant energy and you are full of love and full of light and ready to rock your day or night or whatever time and space and place it is where you are listening to this. And
Hey,
so it
that's
is. Those are my
perfect.
activities.
Yeah. And I think telling yourself that you are true and you are whole. You're not incomplete. Everything around you is meant for you. Everything that you have not been able to come across and you've been disappointed by it, it was probably not meant for you. And it's for the better. What is yours is definitely going to find you. And you are so secure that nothing in the world can sway you. There is no negativity that can harm you. You're protected, and you are, like Brett said, it cannot be emphasized enough. You are enough. You are not going to shrink yourself for anybody else. You're not going to create a persona, different persona for different people is not going to be done. You're going to be who you are, exactly who you are. You're going to be you, and the right people will find you.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Yes. All right. Well, I feel satisfied. I feel like that was a great episode, right? Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I feel so too. The people will tell us.
Yes, you guys tell us, let us know if you like
The-
it. We are
yes.
hosting workshops sporadically on the weekends. We let
Yep.
our ladies know when we are having workshops. We have a good group going. If you're interested in our workshops, hit us up on Instagram. You can DM us. We have a group chat for our workshop, ladies. So yeah, come join. It's literally like we like us talking on a podcast kind of, but more interactive, and we have some color for a cause images that we give all of the women involved in the workshop, some music, and we just like uplift each other like we're doing right now.
Yeah,
So
we're just here. We're gonna chill. We're gonna talk whatever is on our hearts. We're gonna
mhm.
connect and communicate and just have a good time. Like free, get rid of all our stress and yeah, free ourselves.
Yep. And
It's gonna
then,
be good.
oh yeah, we are hosting a Little Artists workshop coming up soon, and I'm hosting a learning how to draw a face workshop coming up soon in the women's show gallery space. So you can go to like yeah, my Instagram, Little Artist Instagram, to find those soon. But yeah, it's gonna be fun times. And we
Yeah.
have a lot of fun things planned ahead that, some things we will be sharing, some things we will be sharing in silence to keep our authenticity and to keep our
Keep
realness
your cards
going.
close to your chest
Yes.
at all times. But of course, we will be informing as and when we go about all of the exciting stuff that's coming out. So, yeah, I hope that you can come along with us, bring your friends. If you like our podcast, you like our videos, you like our art content, then you can tell your friends about it, your family, join us together,
Hit, share
see if
it,
this is your vibe. Yeah, share it.
give us
And
five
yeah,
stars.
let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, share the magic.
All right. Have the most magical day, evening, or night or morning, what time it is, where you are. We love you so much. And until next time, bye.
Hi, everyone. Hope you liked that episode. We are all about preaching self love and empowering women and girls around the world. Support us in our journey as we provide art supplies and many more resources to girls in Ghana through our two programs, the Fly Girl Initiative and Little Artists. We are also working on hosting more Color for a Cause events, as well as our No Filter school tours. Your help will enable this organization to work on bettering the lives of people around the world. For more information, visit our website www.stukdesigns.org.